Hey guys, welcome back. So, last video you saw this was all nasty and dirty looking, so we've embarked on cleaning it. So, what I always do, I just take a bucket and a brush, and I buy Simple Green and mix in some water, probably like 10% Simple Green or so, 10 or 15%, and then just start scrubbing. And it's cleaning up. If you remember, all of this was horrible before. Now it's down to, there's actually paint under here. Who knew? So we're not finished. You can see over here we started kind of cleaning it up some and wiping it with a rag. It's kind of hard to get to all these places, but we're getting there. We're going to finish cleaning and move on, figure out what we're going to do next. But yeah, this wasn't as bad as I thought. I didn't want to mess the concrete up. I've done this. I'm actually probably going to use this process to clean other stuff, but last time I just let it drip onto the concrete and you end up with another mess to clean up. So you clean your car and then you got to clean the concrete. So I had some old cardboard, so I just threw that down, and that probably caught, it looks like it caught all of it, but I'm sure it caught damn near all of it. So, little pro tip, if you want to only make one mess instead of two. Anyway, I'll show you guys when we get this all finished, but it's looking much better. Alright, so we got all this cleaned up, and we even dried it. Man, this looks way better. So like, look in here. So we didn't get the entire fender. You can see all that's dirty. If you come up here to the very front where the frame's at, that part I did clean. So from there, even the underside of this, that part of the frame, coming around to here, this is so much better than it was before. I kind of got into all these, you can see a lot of cut metal from doing things, but it's all clean, much better than before. So happy with that. Now we're going to, let's see if I can get the camera just way in here. I don't know if this is going to work. Well, I can't see the camera, but maybe... let's see. Yeah, this isn't really working out. There's a trans cooler. There it is. You can see there's a small gap, so it's basically up against the radiator in this picture, and there's a tiny gap between it and the intercooler. That gap is probably a half of an inch. So it's not much, and what I was hoping, so the easiest thing to do would be to just push the trans cooler forward a little bit and put the condenser between it and the radiator. That's not going to happen. There's not enough space. I don't want to move the intercooler because one, it has brackets already, and two, the charge pipes, I have hard steel pipes that are, you know, I actually cleaned these. I mean, they clean up decent. It's got wrinkle coating. The blow-off valve's already hooked up. You can see it's got these little bars hooked up so I don't blow couplers off. So that basically the pipes are physically bolted together. They can't come... If these couplers get like oil on them or something, this stuff doesn't come apart. It's pretty nice. The coupler only has to seal. It doesn't have to hold the pipe on. So that's a high boost good thing to have. I hate to have to change all that just for an AC condenser. So one option, which is what it looks like we're going to have to do, is basically remove the transmission cooler, remove that little brace that holds it up against the intercooler. That's that piece right there. Take that off, and then we'll put the AC condenser in front of the radiator, which admittedly might be some work. We don't have a lot of space, but to make it worse, the little radiator brackets, this one you can see it kind of moves out of the way a little, but this one over here, it's kind of, that might be in the way. So we may have to do some stuff with that. But it seems like we can probably squeak the AC condenser in there. So that would be nice, but we may, then we got to find a place to put the trans cooler. So, I mean, I guess I could go in front of the intercooler, but you hate to do that because then you're just dumping the transmission heat right into your intercooler. So, I mean, you could do that, maybe for temporary, but I don't like that idea. So I'm not sure what we're going to do yet. The other thing, like we talked about yesterday, we could just start cutting metal. So that's what I actually want to do. But the problem with that is it turns into a whole nother project. So long term, I am going to do that. I know I want to cut all this off and change it. I could make a whole different video as to why. But I know there's probably 5 different reasons that would improve the vehicle if I were to cut this off and remake it. Right now I'm just leaning towards not doing that for the sake of time. I keep saying cut it off. I'm assuming it doesn't unbolt. I swear I think this stuff's welded together. Maybe it's not. I guess I should look into that and see if that part actually unbolts. No, see right there? There's a weld. Yeah, that's welded to the car. That's weird because some of the stuff bolts on. yet it is welded. That's so weird. Huh, okay. Weird. But yeah, we're gonna attempt to leave this metal for now, for the sake of time, and just try to get the AC condenser to fit. Put the transcooler somewhere, and go from there. So, we'll give you guys an update when I make a little more progress. Alright guys, so here's the brace. It's been drying for a day now. This side actually does look a satin finish. This is the side that you won't see. Let's see if we flip it over, what it looks like. Yeah, this side's more glossy. So that's probably just because I put too much paint. I've noticed that with satin paints, if you do too much, it just turns into a gloss or a semi-gloss. It's kind of like a semi-gloss. But hey, it's painted, it's black, it looks alright. So yeah, that's dry enough, ready to put back on the car. Alright, so we got the intercooler out. You can see our charge pipes are hanging there. There's the other one. You can already see, this is a frontal view, just looking square on at the front of the car, and you can really see why I want to cut that centerpiece out. This thing just totally blocks airflow and packaging and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, now we got a nice clear view of the transmission cooler. And it's kind of fallen right now. There's a bracket on the intercooler that holds this up against the radiator. So normally that's where it's at, and you can see it goes just about to the top of the radiator. With the fittings, it actually does go to the top. So anyway, that's a big giant, forget the specs, it's like for an RV or something. I bought a huge transcooler because I didn't want to worry about overheating it. So anyway, we're about to remove the transcooler and go from there. Alright, here's our transcooler. So you can see the core of this, about 11 inches. But if we go up to the top of the fittings, it's more like 14 inches. Going across, roughly, what, 10 and... about 11 actually. Yeah, close to 11 inches. And let's see, that dimension's hard to measure. But it's something like 1.5 inches thick or so. Pretty beefy. So, there's our transcooler. Luckily, the hoses allow it to just lay on the ground. So, for now, it's just going to sit there. And we're going to see if the condenser fits. See what we're up against. Alright, so I've been prying on these brackets. These are some metal that was previously just hammered over flat to get it out of the way, and we need every little bit we can get. So I've kind of pried it up off a little, and you can see, so we have a big gap opening up here, and then back here there's one big weld, and that seems to be the only one. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here with a Dremel, cut that, and then at that point we're just going to bend, cut, whatever it takes to get that back piece off, and that'll buy us some space. And it's the same thing on the other side. You can see I kind of pried that off, so we're just going to cut and pull and grind until this is gone. That'll buy us, I don't know what that is, 40 thou thick or so, but it'll buy us maybe 1/10 of an inch of width. But it gets rid of that bracket, and that bracket was actually taking up more space than that, because you can see it's got these like bent tabs. So, about to remove those. Boom, sheet metal gone. As you can see, since this is the way this is welded, there's still like metal there, so we'll probably grind that off with a Dremel. But we got that piece off. Same thing over here, it's gone. So there's those two pieces, a little weight reduction and a little more space. So now we're gonna grind those little nubs off. I already washed it. You can tell it was all rusty behind that too, so I'm glad that's gone. But yeah, we'll keep going. Oh, another pro tip. So I got the intercooler off right now, so you can see that pipe's open, this pipe over here is open. So the easy thing is to just grab like a rag or some tape and cover those up, because that'll keep dirt out, and then I don't have to remove these to clean them. And you know, the other alternative is to let debris get in there and then crank the engine up and run all that through the motor. So this will only take like 20 seconds and save me from having to pull those pipes later. Boom, blocked off. Alright, we grinded those little weld nubs off, and we went ahead and deburred this little edge here as well. Got some sharp edges there. Clean those up, got rid of the nub there. So now we're going to attempt to install this and see what we're up against. Alright, good news. It, and get ready for the quotes, fits. So, as you can tell, there's a teeny little gap there, and a tiny gap there as well. So, to hold it, we just use these little friction clamps. These things are super handy. You can pick these up at like Lowe's or Home Depot, but you can actually get these at Harbor Freight for like $4 a piece. So a pair of these for $8 is totally worth it. So here I just friction clamped it, and the clamp is hanging on the chassis and holding the heat exchanger in place. Let's see. So you can see the top is going all the way up to my metal shroud up here. And then the bottom, you can see it stops short of the bottom of the radiator. So some of the radiator's getting air without the being blocked by the condensers. That's cool. And this is kind of a comedic thing, but I'll show you. We're about to measure the clearance that we have between the condenser and the car, so obviously we just need a set of feeler gauges. And that's about it. We measured this a second ago, but I'll do it real quick. Call it 165. 165 thou, so less than 3/16. So well under a 1/4 inch of clearance, a little over an 1/8. So yep, it's tight, but this giant, or at least width-wise, this giant condenser is fitting in the car. So that's awesome. We did have to remove that metal. That would have been enough to stop it. And getting it in there was also kind of difficult because these fittings actually poke out. So if you look here, you'll see how they poke out. So the fittings wouldn't stop it, but I was able to wrangle it in there sideways and whatnot. So cool. Condenser's possible to fit here. This doesn't look as bad as I thought. I do like that this bottom section still has some clean air going to the radiator. That's kind of cool. Unfortunately, that's not installed and don't think it's going to fit. So we're about to put the intercooler back in, just bolt it up and kind of look and take measurements. I'm pretty certain that's not going to fit, but I just want to double check, and we'll go from there.